Good evening. We are here at the Relationship Service Station. Hi, I am Courtney, your master relationship mechanic. So tonight, our title was Martini Marriages, the main key to ingredients that you must have in a marriage. So I wanted to go in a little different direction tonight, and I wanted to kind of work outside of the box. And this is for our 21-year-olds, a little bit more mature crowd. So all of you all got a seat right here that want to pull up a seat with me to the night at the bar, so we can take a little drink of the truth of some of the things that occur in our relationships. And I like to think of things always in some type of analogy. So tonight's analogy, of course, is a martini. Why did I choose a martini? If you notice, and if you don't even drink, if you've been to a bar, if you've been to a club, or if you've been to someone's house and they make mixed drinks, it's a lot of things to keep up with. They're not usually very simple, but a martini is the most simplest drink that you can have because it has two main ingredients. Those two key main ingredients, I think of them as in a marriage. You must have two main key ingredients. You must have a husband and a wife. Now, they have particular roles and responsibilities, the husband and the wife, but however, there are always two main ingredients. Now, whether you are the classic martini drinker and it's just the regular gin and dry Vermont, or if you're a little bit more and you like to mix it up and you want to be the vodka kind of person with the Vermont, but it's still only two main ingredients. So you can determine which is your preference. But the great thing about it is it's only two ingredients. It depends on how you dress it up, how you sweeten it, and all the other different concoctions you make. But we'll get to that, the different concoctions that you make, and you mix it up and make these different flavored and fancy martinis. But in the main martini, you have husband and wife. So in husband and wife, it makes the perfect martini, and you don't need to add anything. It's just the way it is. It's made perfect. But now, if you're a big James Bond fan, he likes to say he wants his shaken and not stirred. And most people say, well, what's the preference? It's about how you like to mix it up. Whether you are a shaken or stirred kind of person, that keeps your relationship fresh. It keeps it mixing up because it does not allow the ingredients to settle and separate. It keeps them blended together for perfection to make the perfect drink. So whether you shake it, whether you stir it, it's some type of movement that is occurring in your relationship to get that perfect blend of those two ingredients to make a marriage. That's what you're getting, that perfect blend. Now, after you get that perfect blend, whether you're in the shaker, whether you put it in a fancy little glass and pour it straight in, there are some other options. Now, do you like your drink on the rocks because you want it to be put on ice? Now, personally, I don't want my relationship to be on the rocks. Some people like it on the rocks. They want it to be a little bumpy. They want it to have that artificial coldness. But the problem with that is when you put it on the rocks, eventually your relationships begins to dilute. So you either have to deal with your relationship and drink it down fast instead of enjoy it slow. But there are some interesting pieces and components of your relationship that you do have to get past quickly. You do have to get through. Those are the times that you have to drink it on the rocks because you need it to be cold quickly. You don't want your relationship to where it stays heated all the time. And I don't mean heated, the flames and the fires. I mean arguments. So the rocks keeps it cool, at a state, at a peaceful mind. Personally, I want it strained in a chill glass because I consider myself a kind of chilled kind of person. So I want my drink to be served in a chill glass, and I want it strained because I don't need all of the fluff. I want it to be pulled out and extracted so I can get it the facts. But some people like it on the rocks. They want all the details, all the information, but I'm a strained person. Give it to me point blank. So depending on what type of marriage you have, whether you like it on the rocks, all the details, whether you need it cold quickly because you're a little temper, you get hot real fast, or if you can be a chilled kind of glass and wait for it to be strained and get the pertinent details. Now figure out what type of martini marriage you're working with. But then we get to the point where no matter what type of martini it is, it's still a marriage. So if you noticed on the little image they got put out on social media, it had a different type of martinis, different types of flavors, different types of adornments and accessories and embellishments, because some like olives, some likes cherry, somebody likes a little bit of lemon swirled in it. So depending on what your flavor and your palate and what extra you need in your relationship, you make that determination. And then you move it from just the two main ingredients so you can get it to how you want. That's customizing your relationship, because we have this thing in our world. Everything is so cookie cutter. We live in a cookie cutter house. We live in a cookie cutter neighborhood. We want the same cookie cutter 2 kids and a dog that everybody has. So if you want a cookie cutter world, that means you expect the same results as everybody else, but you all aren't the same 2 people in that relationship. So no matter what flavor or what things you add to it, it's still a marriage. Let's not get so caught up in doing what others do or trying to look like other people that we're trying to consume something that we can't stomach, because some of us need a virgin drink. We just need to pretend like we drinking a martini because we can't stomach the taste of alcohol, and our taste buds just aren't the same. You might like it shaken. I might like it stirred. I want mine chilled, and I want a little sweetness on the glass. You might want a little salt on yours. You might want a little lemon because you like it a little bit bitter. But no matter how you like it, it is your marriage. No matter what anybody tells you, it's your marriage. Now, there are some key components to make a marriage work, but it's your marriage, and you make a determination what you can deal with, what you want to deal with. Now, talking about martinis, one of the great things about martinis, you can customize it, as we talked about. So when you go into a bar and you get in there and you order up your drink, you don't say, give me my martini or give me your martini. What it is whatever the name of that martini is. So whatever the name of your marriage. So for instance, the marriage could be called the Smith team. It could be called the Jones team, but it's an our union. It's not 3 or 4 different labels that you put on it. So you're ordering your team drink in the martini. How about that? The team drink. So when you order the team drink, that means we're all drinking from the same cup. We're all enjoying the husband and wife truly blended experience. We aren't drinking something different and don't understand. That's why you have to understand what your mate likes so that you all can enjoy that portion of your marriage together and have that martini marriage where you like it in that way. These are things that I think about when I think about shaking and stir. When other components come in there, we talk about our kids. Then we talk about yours and my kids. When you try to blend in the kids, if you have had kids from previous relationships, whether they're marriages or not, you usually have a different component because you put in the mix another parent. So you're talking about a co-parent on top of the parent that you have got into a relationship. You need to define clear boundaries around what that label and the responsibility is in that martini. Because remember, the only 2 ingredients are husband and wife. All of these extra components are actually garnishments, extras to your drink to make it better according to your taste buds. So if you have that blended extra garnishment and extra flavor that you've put into your relationship, you have to learn how to work those things. There are 2 things that I do not want you to do, though, when you're drinking your martini. When you put these extra things in there, you do not want to become intoxicated with your martini, confused and disarrayed about what goes on. You always want to have clear and concise information about whose rule it is. And be clear about respecting those boundaries when you have additional components put into that relationship, because it is not just a 2-ingredient drink anymore. Also, do not want you to feel like you have a hangover. Woo! Because in a relationship, when it starts giving you a hangover, that means too much is going on that you can't handle. You have reached your limit. You are having to the point you're having disagreeable physical after effects of whatever it is going on in your relationship. So make sure that you get control of your relationship. Do not allow other people other people's kids, other people's ex-spouses, other people's ex-relationships to come in and make it where your drink is not palatable for your taste anymore. It's your martini. It's your martini. Remember, do not allow anybody else to make this drink something that you can no longer deal with. Don't make it where it makes you sick. Doesn't make it where you don't feel comfortable. So it is going to be when you have this blend of extraness in your martini, when you want those extra flavors, so those flavors have to come along with the package, but you make a choice because you know in the beginning that this person is a package deal. That's kind of like when you get a drink and you order a specific kind of drink, unless you're customizing a drink. If you have a martini, there are 2 basic ingredients. And once you take one of those ingredients out, it's no longer a martini. So if the husband or wife is not serving in either of those roles, that means once you take that component away from there, it is no longer a marriage. So be careful when you create extras that take away from the core of your relationship. Never bring in anybody that undermines the husband or the wife's role in your relationship. Yes, we are to love our kids, but no, our kids are not supposed to be our first priority, because one day those kids are going to grow up. And you still have to be able to have a good blend and a good relationship with your spouse. So never, ever undermine, never under-prioritize, never underappreciate that perfect blend of your martini. So let's go back through what we talked about. Of course, martini, 2 main ingredients, husband and wife. Learn your roles, learn your roles, learn your roles, and however you need to keep it stirred up, whether you are a shaker or stirrer, and you can do it both ways. Sometimes you might want it shaken, sometimes you might want it stirred. Then there are 2 things that you want to avoid: becoming intoxicated and getting a hangover. Intoxication is a state of confusion because there is not clear boundaries and directions in your relationship. Set those boundaries and directions so nobody has a relationship of confusion. Make sure that you're not having a hangover, because you don't want to get to the place that you are fed up, always in physical stress, always in physical hurt. Remember those 2 things. And how do you avoid those things? Make sure you keep the 2 ingredients. Keep them pure. Keep them happy. Keep them blended. So for tonight, toast, have a drink with me.